Last week, the United States government confirmed something that should terrify every person on Earth. Unidentified craft, objects no one can explain, have been breaching the security of America's nuclear missile bases. Not one base, multiple bases. And in several documented cases, nuclear-armed missiles simply went offline while these objects hovered directly overhead. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is not a leaked rumor. This is sworn testimony and declassified documentation released by the Department of War on May 8, 2026. 162 files, spanning 8 decades. And buried inside them is a revelation the government can no longer hide. The program is called PURSUE, the Presidential Unsealing and Reporting System for UAP Encounters. President Trump ordered it in February. The mandate was simple. Take the most sensitive, most classified files on unidentified, anomalous phenomena and release them to the American people. No more secrets, no more shadows. But what those files revealed was far darker than anyone expected. The Department of Energy oversees America's nuclear arsenal. It operates at a level of secrecy that frequently exceeds even the CIA. Its files are guarded by what's called a Q clearance, one of the highest security classifications in existence. For decades, those files were completely exempt from public disclosure. And now, we know why. The declassified documents confirm a direct historical correlation between UAP sightings and critical nuclear infrastructure. Advanced, silent crafts have been breaching the restricted airspace over active intercontinental ballistic missile silos, facilities housing nuclear-armed Minuteman III missiles, Malmstrom Air Force Base, Los Alamos, Oak Ridge, the most heavily guarded locations on American soil. These were not distant sightings on the horizon. Military radar logs document the objects hovering directly above the silos. Security personnel watched them with their own eyes. Spherical, glowing crafts, completely silent, emitting zero thermal exhaust signatures, defying conventional aerodynamic physics as if the laws of gravity simply did not apply. And then, the missiles went offline. Let me say that again. Nuclear-armed intercontinental ballistic missiles, the backbone of America's strategic deterrent, weapons designed to survive a first strike and retaliate against any enemy on Earth. These weapons were disabled, not by an adversary nation, not by a terrorist attack, but by something no one can identify. The declassified incident reports describe UAPs actively interfering with critical weapon command and control infrastructure. Sensitive electronic monitoring systems failed, launch sequences were disrupted, and multiple nuclear missiles inexplicably went offline while the objects remained in the immediate vicinity. The term the analysts use is jamming the launch codes. Think about what that means. The electromagnetic shielding on a nuclear silo is designed to withstand the pulse of a nuclear detonation. It is hardened against the most advanced electronic warfare tactics known to humanity. And these objects, whatever they are, bypass those multi-billion-dollar fail-safes effortlessly. They generated an unknown spectrum of interference that American technology simply could not defend against. This was not a one-time event. The files reveal a disturbing pattern: UAPs returning to nuclear facilities again and again over decades. At Los Alamos, where the atomic bomb was born, security reports describe silent crafts routinely hovering over highly secured laboratories, completely ignoring conventional military deterrents. At Oak Ridge, the same thing. And at multiple ICBM bases across the United States. Before the 2026 public release, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, known as AARO, rigorously analyzed the telemetry of these nuclear-adjacent encounters. Their conclusion? The events are officially classified as unresolved. Unresolved. That is the government's word for it. They are not saying it was weather balloons. They are not saying it was drones. They are admitting, on the record, that the technology displayed far exceeds the capabilities of any known adversary nation. And here is the most unsettling part. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth stated that mitigating these advanced physics threats requires immediate, radical transparency. The Pentagon is actively soliciting help: private sector aerospace experts, quantum computing scientists, anyone who might understand the physics of what these objects are doing. The United States military, the most powerful fighting force in human history, is asking the public for help understanding what is hovering over its own nuclear weapons. The files are public now. You can access them yourself at war.gov. The core flight data of these impossible crafts is entirely visible. The redactions are only on specific weapons telemetry, the government's own nuclear secrets. But the truth of the encounters is laid bare. For 80 years, the United States government has collected reports of unidentified objects in American airspace. Most were explained, some were not. But the ones that were not, the ones that hovered over nuclear silos, that disabled missiles, that ignored every law of physics and every attempt at defense, those files were locked in Q clearance vaults. Until now. The government says there is no evidence of extraterrestrial origin. They are very careful to say that. But they also admit the technology is beyond any known adversary, beyond any known physics, beyond anything they can stop. So I leave you with one question. If the United States military cannot protect its own nuclear missiles from these objects, who can?